You rarely hear men talk about their depression and things that they went through to cause depression. I could be around a group of people and be torn up inside. Losing a child, it's a different level of hurt, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. People always told me, don't let anyone rush your grieving. Think of it as you're human. You have feelings as well. And so it's okay. It doesn't make you less of a man when you have to shed a tear.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Vibrant Soul Society, The Conversations. I'm your host, Baba Sam, the Miracle Man. Our mission for the show is simply to see and help you to discover that you are greater than your thoughts, because these thoughts cause all sorts of issues and problems. So twice a week, I bring forward various guests to inspire us, offer wisdom and life tips on how to live a better life. So today we are very blessed and privileged to have Ron with us today. So Ron, welcome to the conversations.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so people that are unfamiliar with you, who is Ron?
My name is Ron Godfrey. I'm an actor, author, entrepreneur, musician, singer, the whole nine. I've been in entertainment now, I want to say about 14 years, and it's been very good to me. And so, yeah, I'm just, shooting for the stars at this point.
Okay, that's great. So one of the things that really interested me was you're an author in that book that you wrote. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to read it, but I'm really curious more about how this came to be, crying out in the dark. Because I
Mhm.
know you talk about mental health and
Yes.
important. So how did this journey begin for you to discuss mental health?
Crying Out in the Dark is actually my autobiography in which I talk about things that happened in my life that caused depression, which we know today is really the cases are skyrocketing. And I don't think it gets enough attention until something drastic happens, unfortunately. But I did this because you rarely hear men talk about their depression and things that they went through to cause depression. And so I wanted to be the icebreaker. And I published the book back in 2020, and here we are in 2025 now. So the book is 4 years old, but it's still selling at record speed, and it's holding at a 4.8 out of 5 stars on Amazon. So I'm proud of it.
Right. So that's, yeah, it is important. I also talk about depression as a bipolar growing up, going through life as a bipolar, and you really get consumed by these thoughts. How did depression affect you?
As we know, it affects people different people different ways. My depression, I would isolate myself a lot. I would just go quiet and I wouldn't eat. And there would be moments where I would just cry, just different ways. I could be around a group of people and be torn up inside. I went to a couple of counseling sessions, which helped me. For the most part, I kept myself busy and I dealt with things as they came along. I just started reaffirming myself, giving myself affirmations, and it's been working out really well.
Yeah, so those affirmations. Yeah. It's really interesting because I also experience this too, is you can be in a group of people yet feel so alone.
Yes, that's very true. You have a lot of people that's telling you, we got your back, you're my friend, you're my buddy, you're this, you're that, but still yet none of that really, it's like you don't even hear that because inside you feel like you're just totally isolated. No one's, it's like you're on a big island by yourself and there's no one there. You can call out and no one will hear you. So it's very lonely. It's a very lonely feeling.
Yeah, because you really get, from my experience, you get really drowned out by your thoughts and
Yeah.
your stories. What was going through your thought process during that time?
It was different things, to be honest with you. I can't really say there was one particular thing because in most cases, I would go back in time and just think of certain things that happened in my life that caused me to, have these feelings. And so writing the book, I relived everything that I went through. And it was a painful process, but once I got to the last page and said the end, I really felt better.
Yeah, I understand that, writing a book is therapeutic because it forces you to go through those prior events and resolve them. Because that's really interesting. When we're in this mindset, we're constantly dwelling in the past. We're bringing the past into the present. And then when you write about it, it's right in front of your face again. So how did you process those emotions again to clear them?
I just compartmentalized everything. I just put everything in its place and I just dealt with each emotion, each feeling that I had. I just dealt with it as it came. There was no set, I didn't have a set way or anything like that. It just, once I felt it, I dealt with it. There would be times where I would be in a store and a feeling would come upon me and I feel myself getting ready to just burst out in tears and I would run out of the store, go sit in my car, go through my moment and I just start again.
That's really the truth because those moments are just so alive, so vivid. So I was just
Mhm.
wondering, was it journaling was your primary practice to release this, or did you
Oh
have a
yeah.
meditation practice or anything of that nature?
Journaling was my primary way of dealing with it because when you're going through depression, your trust level in people is not very high, you know, because like for me, I dealt with a lot of rejection coming up. And so I felt more safe putting my thoughts and my feelings on paper because one thing about the paper won't judge you. You can sit there and tell the paper anything you want to tell it and it won't judge you. So I felt safe doing that.
Key to people to understand that trust level. You really
Mhm.
don't trust anyone and you don't even trust yourself. So it's
Right.
good that you can put them on paper so you can look at it, reflect on it. And you're right, the paper's not going to judge you.
Right.
Right. So you can reflect upon that. Did that help you reestablish that trust in yourself? Like, I know you went from this place of distrust. Did you
Mhm.
eventually come into a place of where you trust yourself?
Oh yeah. After a while, I started, having more trust in myself, and me having more trust in myself allowed me to trust others. But even with that, you're very specific on who you share different information with, because not everybody will take your situation to heart like you do. They're not going to understand how delicate that is like you do. So you have to be careful.
Right. And I was just curious about this. If you're starting to trust yourself more, does that also increase your own appreciation, maybe the self-love for yourself?
Oh yeah, because when you're going through a depression, I know for me, my self-esteem was like at an all-time low. I just felt like I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like I wasn't worth anything, but once I began to trust myself more, I no longer needed validation from others. I was able to self-validate and just completely turn it around, to be honest with you. And so now it's like, I'm enough, I'm worth it. I matter, so yeah.
Oh, that's really important. The I matter. When I'm
Mhm.
speaking to actors, one of the things that typically comes up a lot along self-esteem is the imposter syndrome. Did you face that as well? Like, who am I to write this book, to act in this play, whatever it was? Did you have that as well?
No, I didn't have that. I always looked at it as an honor to be able to, first of all, be offered the role, whatever role that I was offered. And I just, worked on putting my best foot forward. But I did find it to be very therapeutic, because there were some times where I would have a role where I had to act a certain way and it would bring my mind back to something I may have experienced. And from my own experience, it helped me to put forth a performance that probably I would never put forth, had I not already experienced the situation.
Right. So you brought a real life experience into the role because you could actually imagine yourself there. Was that also like therapy to get out that emotion?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because once I get off the set, get from in front of the camera or get off the stage, I can go sit in my chair and just kind of excel a little bit because like, wow, and then I'm realizing to myself that was real. That was in a real place, and so yeah, it made me feel a lot better.
Yeah, that's very good. So I was wondering, because I was reading some of your information, and it sounds like you had a really challenging point in your life with the brain cancer with your son. Was
Yeah.
that before you wrote the book? How did that unfold into the depression?
No, it was after. It was my son just passed away November 1st of 22. The book was published in December of 20. And so, when my son passed, it had its own, it's had its own lane of depression. Of course, he was only 6 when he passed, and losing a child, it's a different level of hurt, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And so, yeah, I even now, I still have moments where, I isolate because I feel it's almost like a knot in my chest, working up to my throat because I'm missing him and still dealing with his loss. So yeah,
Yeah, I can imagine the pain of losing a child. It's not, life isn't supposed to work that way. You're supposed
right,
to, the kid's supposed to outlive you. But it
right.
sounds like you're doing good things with that. This brain cancer foundation, you found it.
Yes, I created that a couple of months after he passed because I wanted to do something to allow his legacy to live on, and I wanted other children be able to receive the benefits that the foundation offers in memory of my son. And so the foundation, we aid researchers in finding the cure for rare tumors such as my son had. And also we want to give financial assistance to families because some of the medicines required are not covered by insurance. They will need financial help, and that's what we want to do.
That's great to have that tool out there for those parents because I can imagine what they're going through with a sick child. Are you able to help them to give them advice on how to move forward the best they can in this?
I know what you're going through, but as time go on, it'll get easier. I never tell a parent you'll get over it because you
Mm,
don't.
right.
You just learn how to cope with it. I let them know, hey, I'm here if you need to talk or whatever. There's resources that you can reach out to get counseling or talk to someone or whatever. And it's perfectly okay. It's okay to not be okay.
Right. That's so important too. A lot of people say, with depression, grief, whatever it is, just to snap out of it, to let it go. And it
Mhm.
really isn't that easy.
No, no, not at all. And unless you have experienced it, you have no clue.
That's the truth. You have people say, "Oh, you're depressed, you're in grief. Oh, just move on with your life, get over with." But you just can't do that.
Mm-mm, not at all. It's not easy at all.
No.
And I'd say it's nothing that you'll never get over. You just learn how to cope with it as time go on.
But it also sounds like did this also open up some other avenues to give back to society? Because before the call, you were talking about the homeless that you fed. Was this did this become, part of your charity, if you want to call it that, what your son, the Brain Cancer Foundation, now helping the homeless, this outreach is that how your path is growing?
There's really no connection, no literal connection to my son. But when I fed the homeless here on Christmas Eve in Charlotte, I knew that I was going to encounter children. And I did. I fed 200 right there in the city of Charlotte. My first stop was a women's shelter, and there were a couple of women that came out with their children. And when I saw them, one of them had a little boy, and I immediately thought about mine. When you see things like this in your mind, you're saying, hey, that could have been me or that could be me. Then we had one lady come out and ask for food for her husband, and her 4 children. So there was an entire family living in the shelter and everything. And I was like, listen, make sure those children eat, make sure your family eat because it's very important. And so that's something already people are reaching out to me, asking me what am I going to do this year because they want to help out. So I guess it looks like it's going to be an ongoing thing, but I just want to give back because I want even them to know that they're loved, they're thought about, they're not forgotten. Things will get better at some point. So I just want to do that.
Right. So maybe another avenue for another charity or a foundation as well.
Yeah.
Things are unfolding here.
Right. Right.
But I can see the joy that brings to you. So I'm thinking to me that is part of your life purpose to give back and to assist others.
Yeah. First of all, I love people. I love people. It doesn't matter race, gender, color, creed, all that kind of. I don't matter. That stuff doesn't matter to me. You're a human being going through a situation. If I can do something to help, that's what I want to do, regardless. And so that's what I did. And it was it's all walks of life that came and took part in the feeding.
Yeah, that's really it, that we're
Yeah,
all children of God, if you want to call it that. So we should all be of service to another,
exactly. So yeah, I know I'll be blessed for it.
right? That it will pay off in some ways,
Yes,
because
sir.
if we are in service, the universe serves us.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
it's really, not allowing the mind to create these stories, these limitations. It's like you're just helping.
That's it. That is it. Yes, sir. So I just want to, I was asked why Christmas Eve. And my thought process was, well, legend has it that on Christmas Eve, Santa Claus goes to house and drop off the gifts so that everybody can open up on the next day. So I wanted to on Christmas Eve give the gift of food to the less fortunate, and it made them smile. And as long as I saw that smile, I said, okay, my job is done.
Right. Because they're going to need that next meal and the next meal. So was the work ever really done?
But I guess that the assignment for that day
Mm.
was done because God was the one that put it on my heart to do, and He gave me that number. So now I'm just waiting on the next assignment.
Oh, that's a nice way to describe it. Next assignment. All right, here I am.
Yes, sir.
That's really it, to be open to the universe, saying,
Hmm.
I'm here to serve. How can I help?
Exactly.
And those doors open up and some new roles that come your way that you weren't expecting.
Yep. And that's what I'm looking for my career to expand. And I'm trusting God that He's going to create the expansion, and because He's able to do it. So I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I love that phrase, let go and let God.
Yes, sir.
Because that's what I see with this mind, that where my mission is to help you see that you are greater than all these thoughts. We need to surrender that and live our purpose. And I think
Hmm.
you're a very good example of somebody living their purpose. You went through a lot of stuff with your son and all these obstacles you faced in your life, but here you are today, smiling, you look happy.
Thank you. Yeah, I have to smile because first of all, when it comes to my son, I know he's in a better place. He's in the place where we're all trying to get to. He's not suffering anymore. So that alone allows me to smile and to feel good about it. So yeah, I'm good.
And that's good. So what's on the horizon for you in 2025?
Well, I got some new movie roles coming up, stage play, and so it's going to be later on in the year. So I'm just getting prepared for those things, and got a new episode of the true crime series, Fatal Attraction, that's going to be airing on February the 26th. So I'm excited about that, and as time go on, I'll be making announcements about it. But I'm really excited about what's coming for this year.
Sounds like some nice doors are opening for you.
Yes,
Do you prefer on screen or do you prefer the stage?
I prefer the screen, but I'm not going to leave the stage alone because stage plays teach you how to act. Stage plays prepare you for the screen. And so that's my philosophy. At first, I was like, I want to leave stage plays alone for a while because they're so time consuming. But I was listening to one of my mentors one day, which is Denzel Washington. He said, stick with stage plays because they teach you how to act. And so I'm always trying to improve my craft. So if stage plays is going to do it, then that's what I'm going to do.
Right. So yeah, follow your mentor. He says this is how you build your craft. Then you want to build your craft so you get those bigger roles.
Oh yeah, yeah. I do a lot of scene study when it comes to different actors and actresses, and I just study patterns and study facial expressions and different all kind of stuff. I sit there and study to better my craft and to create a better performance.
Right. And it sounds like some of your life experiences you're able to bring into it as well.
Right.
Because you did go through some difficulties with your mental health, but I think you're past that from what I see by looking at you, past all that darkness of depression. Is that
Yeah.
is that accurate to say that you learned how to move on from that?
Oh yeah, I have. I even remember I did a photo shoot, and most of the pictures that I took were dark. The background was dark. I had a black suit and everything like that. And when I actually looked at them, I was like, wow, this represents the time that I was in. you know. But then the new pictures show a whole different light, you know what I'm saying? It shows me in the light, as a matter of fact. So yeah, I feel really good now.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because I just see like before in this whole episode, you're smiling, you're happy. That's a real good example of good mentor for those out there thinking like, I can't do this. Do you still feel isolated on the island anymore, or have you expanded your island that you don't feel so isolated and trapped anymore?
I don't feel so trapped anymore. I still go through my moments sometime where I isolate myself because I just need to have my moment. And then once it passes, I'm okay. And it doesn't last long. People always told me, don't let anyone rush your grieving. So I'm still getting myself together. So, but it's going to be okay.
Yeah, that's a good reminder, to people, that we always have our moments. That life is never perfect, but it
Mhm.
sounds like you have a process to get through those moments. Do you journal? Do you just take a time out, take some breaths, and just come back to center? What is that process for you when you're having a moment?
I just stop what I'm doing at the moment and just, kind of process things in my mind and just again, I just have my moment. If I need to cry, I cry. If not, I just sit there. I'm just quiet, not on the phone, not on the computer, nothing like that. I'm just completely quiet and just going through. And once the storm has passed, so to speak, then, it's back to our regular routine.
Yeah, that's a good reminder when the storm passes. That's why I have that background that I have with the sky and the clouds, because the storms clouds are always passing by, and we are the sky, but we forget that, and we get caught up in these clouds, these thoughts that are not serving us. We have to find that way for us that works. And it sounds like you just isolating a little bit, taking a time out for yourself,
Right.
then you're good to go. But you can
Yeah.
let that process through.
Yeah.
And I actually think that causes a lot of damage when you don't process it. You're storing up all these emotions that aren't being released. And I find crying is a very healthy way to release.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It has helped me. It has helped me a lot. And I tell people, especially men, don't think of it as being weak if you have cry. Think of it as you're human. You have feelings as well, and so it's okay. It doesn't make you less of a man when you have to shed a tear or two. It's okay.
Right? Because there's always that story that I heard when growing up is like real men don't cry.
Hmm.
And that was always so damaging because we're human to
And
release.
that's started in a lot of homes. That started at an early age. Where the little boys say, "You better not cry," and don't let a woman see you cry because they'll think you weak and all that kind of stuff. So what happens is all of that is built up, and then later on in life, it comes out, but it comes out like like a volcano, like the lava from a volcano. You don't know which way it's going to flow, but you know it's going to flow. You know, so yeah,
And that's a really good point too. You're like a volcano. You're going to erupt on somebody. You're going to lash out on someone, and
yeah,
that is not helpful.
it's not going to be nice at all.
And it's going to probably put you into a depression or some other state that you don't want to be.
Exactly,
You're going to see
exactly.
photographs of yourself that are going to look really dark, gloomy. You're like, oh, I know where I was in my headspace.
Hmm. Yeah, you got to release, and you got to allow people to release, and you'll find that it'll be better for everybody.
Right. It's also so much healthier for yourself as well.
It is, it is.
So, Ron, if anybody had questions, how would they reach out to you?
I'm on all platforms as Ron Godfrey. IG, I am Ron Godfrey. Facebook, Ron Godfrey. LinkedIn, Ron Godfrey. Um, Reach out to me, and I'll answer, and I'll be more than happy to engage.
Yeah, 'cause to engage. Sometimes people just need an ear to somebody to listen to them because they can probably relate to this. If their child is sick or something is going quote unquote wrong in their life, how do
Right,
we move beyond that? And I think you could help a lot of people that have lost children at a young age that makes no logical sense.
right. And also through my website, rongodfrey.com.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed having you in the conversations, Ron. It was very enlightening. Thank you.
Thank you so much.